Today's question is, how do I forgive and forget when my spouse has done things in the past that hurt me? Okay, so we're going to rewind that just a little bit and talk a little bit about forgiveness first, okay? So I know here in the States, and especially in the South, there's a lot of emphasis put on forgive and forget. It's made to sound like this super easy thing where we can just make a decision one day. Okay, well, I'm going to forgive you and I'm going to forget all about it. You have to be a really special kind of person to actually be able to forgive that easily and that lightly. Most of us aren't there. Most of us still have a lot of growing to do in that area. So, I want to talk a little bit about the different kinds of forgiveness and a healthier way to look at this than trying to strive for, forgive and forget and it being such an easy thing. So, for the majority of people, the majority of women that I've talked to, when they talk about forgiving their spouse for something or, forgiving anyone for anything that's happened, when there is no expectation from the other person, it becomes really super cheap forgiveness. So, let's just say, for example, you have a couple and, one says something that hurts the other one and the other one, wanting to just end the conflict says, okay, so of course the one that's hurt the other one says, well, I'm sorry, but then that's all that's said. So the one that's hurt in their desire to end the conflict may say, okay, well, I forgive you. If after saying, okay, I forgive you, you continue to constantly think about that thing that happened that hurt your feelings or that thing that happened that made you angry, you haven't really forgiven. And there's no way that you can forget something that you haven't forgiven. So, forgive and forget is kind of, I'm not going to say impossible because I'm sure there are people out there who can do it, but the majority of people, the majority of women aren't able to just forgive and forget that easily. So instead, what I encourage people to think about is when you actually want, when you're in a situation where someone has hurt you or someone has made you angry and you're wanting to forgive them, think about what it's going to require from that other person in order for you to completely let go of whatever it is that they've done that has hurt you. If that means that they need to tell you that they're sorry, if that means that they need to, change the behavior, think about the things that you need them to do and the behaviors that you need them to change in order for you to completely forgive them. And have a conversation with them about that. Be like, look, I want to forgive you. In order to do that, these are the things that I need. Now, if they are unwilling or unable to fulfill those things, then that is when a different type of forgiveness comes into play. It's called acceptance. So in this particular type of forgiveness, what you're doing is you are accepting the fact that that other person did something that hurt you or made you angry. You're understanding that you cannot control their behavior. Only they can control their behavior. But you have every responsibility and every right to control your own reaction. So when you are moving into more of an acceptance type of forgiveness, it's a situation where that person isn't willing to do what you need them to do in order for you to completely forgive them, okay? So in that case, you're going to come to a place of acceptance where you've accepted that, they're in control of their own stuff and you're in control of your own stuff. Now you're also coming to the understanding and accepting that, again, you get to choose how you respond to whatever it is that they've done. You also get to set boundaries for yourself moving forward, and you get to set boundaries for how your interaction continues. So if you have a person who is constantly doing that thing that hurts you or makes you angry, you have the right, you have the ability to create a boundary to say, okay, I'm not going to put up with that kind of behavior. Now, of course, if it's your spouse, that makes it a little bit more difficult. If it's just a friend, you can choose not to be around them. If it's your spouse, that's a little bit more difficult. So what you can do in that case is when your spouse starts engaging in that type of behavior that you that causes you to feel hurt or causes you to feel angry, what you can do is you can choose to get up and leave the room. You can choose to not interact with them while they are engaging in that behavior. Again, so you have every right to stand up and walk out of the room. You can let them know, hey, this isn't acceptable. So after you've calmed down, after you have, worked through your own process, I'm going to go in the other room. I'm going to do my own thing. And when you're ready, when you are calm and ready, we can talk about this, but I'm not having this discussion with you while you're in the emotional state that you're in, or while you're behaving the way that you're behaving. And then you remove yourself from the situation. That is a much healthier way to look at forgiveness than thinking that you can just wave a magic wand and you're just going to be able to easily forgive and forget anything that's happened, especially without there being any kind of an energetic exchange from that other person. So on the note of energetic exchange, everything that we do on a daily basis is an energetic exchange, okay? When you're having a phone conversation with a friend, if you're talking to a family member, if you are taking a drive with someone, if you have run into someone in the grocery store, every conversation that you have, every time you are in a close proximity to another person, there is an energetic exchange going on. And if there is something about that energetic exchange that you don't like, you have every right to say, this isn't okay with me. Calmly, of course, but this isn't okay with me. I am going to remove myself from the situation, whatever that looks like. That place of acceptance is a much healthier place to be than trying to force yourself into this perfect box of, okay, well, I can wave a magic wand and I'm going to forgive and I'm going to forget all about it and it's never going to affect me again, because that's not really how forgiveness works. Forgiveness is something that two people have to work on together. Now, forgiveness may be something super easy where it's just the person that did the hurting understanding, oh wow, I really did hurt them. I am going to give them a heartfelt apology and let them know that I'm going to do my best to never engage in that type of activity again because it hurt them. That may be enough. In some extreme cases, it may be something where, when you bring things into play like abuse, you bring things into play like infidelity, bring things like that into play, that takes a little bit more effort, but it's going to take effort from both people. And that's when you can, use that acceptance type of forgiveness to move you into a better feeling place so that you can work through your own feelings, because that's part of the forgiveness process, working through your own feelings to see how you feel about the situation, what it was that hurt you or made you angry, and figuring out for yourself what it's going to take for you to forgive that other person, and also what it's going to take for you to forgive yourself. There's usually a big piece of self-forgiveness that goes into forgiving pretty much anything. A lot of times, especially as women, we have a tendency to blame ourselves in those more extreme situations where forgiveness is required, especially if it's, let's say it's abuse from a spouse. You may have to forgive yourself as well, because a lot of times we'll blame ourselves for the actions and the actions of our partner. So sometimes there's a self-forgiveness piece in there as well. So just something for you